over here cause of cashless. Tried to put me in a box, but I'm cashless.
Hey, you know what? I've got this water.
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, you guys? Happy Tuesday. We are back with another episode of Fluent Chill. We've got a lot to touch on today. We're going to get into the Cavs, some postseason bracket discussion. Obviously, we have about 5 games left in the season, which is weird. I want to ask you guys, this is something I'm noticing. As I get older, I feel like time goes by faster. Do you guys agree? So this season went by so fast. Yeah, it goes like a year just goes. Like I felt like I was just New Year's, and now we're almost to summer.
Almost halfway through this.
You know what makes it worse? You know what makes it worse? As you get older, you realize how many stupid people there are in the world, and it just makes everything just worse.
Yeah,
people are dumb. People are very dumb.
You're at an age right now where your patience level is still where it is. Like when you get older, your patience level is going to get even thinner, where you're going to get smarter and you're going to recognize the goofy logic that people have, and you're going to be like,
I feel like I'm getting there already. I'm ahead of the game, but yeah, guys, what's up, chat? FIFA L host. I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it. We weren't even late.
Already L host.
Already I'll host. I didn't even do anything. But let's shout out some of these members. We have Ryan Jones joining us, War V Room, Eddie Thomas, Fish Takes, I'm Jay Stees, and Phantom Wolf. What's up, you guys? So I kind of want to start off the show. Obviously, we have a few games left in the season, a couple big games tonight. But Jay, one of your favorite teams and a couple of the guys on Cleveland, there's a rumor kind of flying around, and I wanted to see if you guys had heard it, about JB Bickerstaff was almost fired earlier this season, could be coaching for his job in the playoffs. And I was just wondering, any thoughts on this? Like, of anything, I think Cavs have kind of been relatively where I would have seen them. I didn't see him going super deep in the postseason. I didn't see him also falling behind too much. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. But thoughts on his job so far and what you've seen? I know you watched probably the most Cavs out of the three of us.
One of the main problems that we have is people over expect things. So 2 years ago, Tone, this team was a play-in team with a bunch of kids. Darius Garland and Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, who was a 19-year-old kid, and Okoro. They're a bunch of kids. They get Donovan Mitchell the next year. They go from that to being a top 5 seed, and they basically get manhandled last year in the playoffs by the Knicks and get bounced. Yeah. This year, the season starts with Jared Allen on the bench, Donovan Mitchell on the bench because they were hurt. Then those guys get healthy. Donovan Mitchell is playing as he's having a career year. He was averaging 28 a game, which is the most that he's averaged ever. He was playing, his distribution level was at its highest. This team was a top 3 seed, like I thought. I mean, they had won, I think, 16 straight games. They had a favorable schedule, but they were decimated by injury. Since the All-Star break, Donovan Mitchell's production in terms of scoring is going down 10 points. Darius Garland broke his jaw. He was out for 2 months. Evan Mobley was out for 2 months because he had a knee issue. Then he rolled his ankle like a couple of weeks after he got back in the lineup. So he was out for 2 more weeks after that, and he still stayed afloat. So the fact that JB Bickerstaff was actually fighting for his coaching life, I think that's ludicrous. On the strength that this team was decimated by injury, they still were a top 3. They still were a top 3 defense in the league. Not only were they a top 3 defense in the league, they're still one of the better scoring teams in the league. I think the expectation on the Cleveland Cavaliers is ridiculous. This team is not a championship level team yet. I had them getting out of the first round, barring any health issues. I had them getting out of the first round with the Eastern Conference Championship being the ceiling right now. And I felt like maybe next year they could challenge for the Eastern Conference Championship. But what do they think is going on in Cleveland? Do they think that they're Boston good? Do they think that they're Denver good? Because they're not. No, they're not yet. No.
I guess that's where we have to iron out the details. Like, what is Cleveland's expectations this season? Especially, I mean, looking back at all the injuries that they faced. I mean, they're still 5th in the East. They've had 46 wins, 33 losses. I mean, they're doing pretty damn well for a team that's struggled as much as they have. And we know that they're going to put up a fight, you know, when it comes to the postseason. So I guess, and this was early in the season where his job was on the line. And so now he's going into whatever postseason they have as the 5th seed, looking like they'd play New York right now, which I like their odds in that matchup. I don't love them, but I like them. I think it could go either way.
Well, my biggest issue with the Cavs right now is Donovan Mitchell's injury and where he is mentally. The fact that is he injured more than what I think he is, or are they trying to preserve him for the playoffs? Because Sunday, when I watched them play the Clippers and they were up by 20 at the half, he looked like a healthy scratch. He was on the sideline jumping around and cheering on his team. He did not look like he was that hurt. But let's just say for the sake of argument that he is. Well, coming into the playoffs, mentally, he's not going to be as sharp as he would if he was just playing the whole season like he was and coming into the playoffs averaging 28 a game and being ready. That's not going on right now. Add that to the fact that they go up against a Knicks team who basically manhandled them last year. Now, Julius Randle is out of the lineup, so that's going to be something different. But a lot of these guys are Tibbs guys. And they beat the Cavs the last time they played them without Julius Randle. They handled them again. So I'm not sure that I love that matchup. I don't. Okay. I'm not sure that I don't love that matchup at all.
Okay. Yeah. Fluent, any thoughts on the Cavs or even that Knicks Cavs matchup? Do you have a favorite coming out of that if that's what it ends up being?
There's so much what you just said. I don't even know where to start. So I don't know what the expectation is, because last year, if you would have said this year, the Cavs would have been fighting for home court advantage in the playoffs again. The Celtics, if I told you in the summer, the Celtics were going to get Drew Holiday, Porzingis, still have a healthy Jason Tatum and a healthy Jaylen Brown, and you would say, okay, they're going to be one of the top 2 teams in the East.
Right.
If I told you Giannis was going to add Damian Lillard to his squad, you would have said, okay, that's going to be one of the top 2 teams in the East. Now, Philadelphia, we didn't know about the Embiid injury at the time, but Philadelphia you would have said was a top 3 team in the East. So where did you expect this team to be other than fighting for 4th or 5th?
Right.
Fighting for 4th or 5th is a win for the most part, a young Cavs team. Now, there was, Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is in year 3.
Mm-hmm.
Year 3. If they were expecting him to make a massive jump, they should go back and look at the history of basketball. With some exceptions, most bigs take longer than guards to get used to and become good, not even just great NBA players. So you have a team, if I run down the list of players who play on this team, with the exception of Tristan Thompson, no one has more than 8 years of experience. They're a very, very young team. This team is like based on minutes played. Okay, here's the most minutes played per game. 27, that's your old man. Then it's 24, 27, 25, 22, 29, 23. Like, this is a young team. They're going to need a couple of years to take their lumps. Now, as far as the coach goes, they see stuff that we don't see. They see stuff that we don't see. And maybe they're seeing stuff and saying, hey, we need to put this out there that he's on the hot seat because we're seeing this. They're pushing back. He's losing the locker room. That person's not being developed. Let's not forget, GMs and owners have a different idea of how a team should play than the coach, right? How many times have we seen a coach say, I want to play my vets and win? If I may go back in history, Brendan Malone, rest in peace, Brendan, was coaching the Raptors when they were very, very like an expansion team. He was putting in all the veterans, playing them, and they were winning games. And they were like, yo, what are you doing? We're an expansion team. We're not supposed to be winning games. We're supposed to be, putting in our young guys and getting them experience and et cetera, et cetera. He's like, no, I get paid to win. And they forced him to put in the young guys. Of course, they started losing. He didn't like it. He pushed back. He got fired.
Right.
You see that everywhere. Go look at this year in Milwaukee. Is Doc Rivers doing a better job with the Bucks? The answer is no, because the record is what matters. Forget everything else. So here's a team that's expected to be 4th and 5th, and that's where they are. They're a young team that's developing. I like the way they're developing. I've told you I was off of Cleveland. Jay convinced me, and now I'm on Cleveland. They're the 15th in terms of payroll, so they're mid in payroll.
Right.
They are, I want to say, 7th in defensive rating, so they're pretty good defensively. They're 12th in offense. They probably still need another scorer or one of the guys to step up and be more efficient scoring. So that's where they are. They're kind of a mid 4th, 5th seed East team. So you think the coach is going to come in and all of a sudden they're going to be great? What's going to happen is another coach is going to come in. All those young guys are going to be a year or two older, and everyone's be like, "Oh, he's the magic coach." No, they just got experience, and now they're better.
This season, I had them as a top 3 seed in the East, and they were actually doing that because I looked at the East. I was out on.
Yeah, who were you out on?
I was out on Philly, and I was out on Philly for the reason that what happened to them is exactly why I was out on them, because I kind of felt like this was going to happen with Joel Embiid. It was either that or when we got to the playoffs. It was either that or when we got to the playoffs with Joel Embiid. He was going to break down because that's his history. With that being said, I still didn't think that they were a championship level team. I felt like they were making progress. So the year before, getting there in the play-in tournament, this last season, they're a top 5 seed. Okay, next year, Mobley's going to be back. Allen's going to be back. Okoro's going to get better. They just signed Max Strus. D Wade's going to be better. This crew is going to be better. It was. I believe they were top. In fact, you just mentioned that they were a top 5 seed. Just before Sunday, they were 3rd in the East. Just before Sunday, they were 3rd in the East. So this team was making progress before Donovan Mitchell broke his face, and in the process of him breaking his face a couple of weeks ago, he's got a knee issue. So he's starting to break down, which is kind of unfortunate because this team was actually trending in the way that I thought that they would. I didn't think that they were a championship level team yet. And I'm not prepared to rush them into that. Now, the idea that Bronny Bickerstaff, I keep calling him Bernie, it's JB. Bernie is his father. I'm sorry. The idea that JB Bickerstaff.
On your age, Jay.
Right. Not Bernie. Bernie Bickerstaff, just so you guys know, Bernie Bickerstaff.
I like Bernie Bickerstaff, but yes.
Bernie Bickerstaff, that's his father. So JB has done a great job with this team since they were decimated with injury. He's done a great job in rotations. He's done a great job keeping his team locked in, playing defense, right? He's actually unlocked Jared Allen, who I'm on record saying I feel like Minnesota should use Rudy the way Cleveland uses Jared Allen around the rim. I don't think that they use Rudy nearly as much. But the idea of what you guys think Cleveland should be, I think that's the issue. I don't think the issue is what they are. It's what you think they should be.
You set that bar too high. And may I just say this? They're still, look, 3 games isn't a lot, but they're 79 games into the season. So they got 3 games left. 3 games left. Just think about this. They've lost 3 in a row. They're only 1.5 games back of second.
Right.
They've lost 4 in a row. It's highly unlikely. It's a pie in the sky. However, there's nothing that doesn't say they couldn't finish off on a 3-game win streak and end up in the 2 seed.
That's not ridiculous.
Now, they also could lose 3 and end up in the 8 seed. But my point is, to come this far into the season and be 1.5 games back of second after you've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Does that mean that the Eastern Conference is weak, Tone? Is that what that means?
No, I believe, I believe this is a very good NBA that we're in this. When I say good, I mean in terms of parity. I think every team is like a couple of plays and they can be. The Raptors just beat the Bucks. Heck, the Bucks have lost everybody last week. It's just I think it's turning into one of those. Remember, football was we always any given Sunday, any team could beat any team.
Right.
That's where we are. There isn't with the exception of maybe Boston, there isn't really a juggernaut team that you go in and be like, this is a definite L or this is a definite W. I don't think you're going in.
Is that good for the league?
Right? There's exceptions.
Is that a good thing for the league to have such, there's not as much disparity as we've seen in past seasons?
You want the truth?
Both. Yeah, both of you.
No, it's a horrible thing. Parity in sports is horrible.
Why, Tone?
It's horrible because fans don't like it. Fans like a super dynasty And then what happens is they become the heroes everybody loves, and then after a couple of years they become the ones that everybody hates,
Villains, yeah.
and now they're the villains. And if you don't have a villain to hate, it doesn't make it like NBA fans, we're gonna watch it. But I mean, like the rest of the world, where actually the money comes from, because let's not forget, we're not talking 30%. We're all watching basketball, no matter what it is. The 70% that come in and out based on storylines, like we're finding in NCAA basketball right now. That 70% wants a storyline, and when there's parity and anyone can win, that's great for the fans of those teams. But they're fans of those teams no matter what. Right. Like I was a fan of the Lakers when, they were winning 30 games a year. I'm still a fan. You're a fan of the Warriors when they win. What was that when Curry played 5 games? How many games did they win? Like 12? Right. Like regardless, you're a fan. The other 70% who, they're casual fans. I'm talking about casual fans. They're the ones that make the TV deals go up. They're the ones that make the billions of dollars. So if they don't have either someone to cheer for or a villain to hate, that's not actually good financially for the league. It's from my perspective, I love having 30 teams, and if I want them all to have a chance at winning a chip, right? That's what I love about football. But for some reason, basketball, you need to have a hero, you need to have a villain. You have to, right? Like just go back. Bird and Magic in the 80s, the whole reason why the NBA exploded was you had Boston, you had Magic, you had Bird, you had Magic, you had Boston, you had LA. You kind of had like blue collar versus glitz, right? There was a racial component there too, let's be honest, right? But it was like you either I loved the Lakers, hated the Celtics, wouldn't even wear green, right? If you were in Boston, you hated LA and everything about them with their purple and gold and their dancers and Paula Abdul and Jack on the sidelines. You hated them. Everybody else watching, even guys of other teams, had an opinion. Dallas and San Francisco in the 90s, right? Those two dynasties killing each other. Even a Bears fan, I was like, who am I rooting for? I don't know. Like I flip-flop. I was like, oh, Dion's on the 49ers. I'm on the 49ers. Oh, he moved to Dallas. Oh, I'm cheering for Dallas. Like it was, you love having those two power. As much as we hated LeBron and the Heat, Cavs versus the Spurs and the Warriors there for like 6, 7, 8 years, sure a lot of people were watching.
I think that I think we live in a different time, though, Tone. The reason why I feel like that is because the expansion of social media, in addition to the expansion of social media, we live in the inclusion era. So if everybody thinks that their team has a chance, they're going to get more involved, as opposed to with the Lakers and the Celtics. These are the establishments, and it's only really like 3 other teams that can really challenge them. But if we got some parity in the league, like we have right now, which over the last 5 years, we've had 5 different NBA champions. So because of that, these cities like Dallas, like Milwaukee, Philly, they think that, we got a chance to win it because there is no Golden State running around. There is no Miami Heat. There is no Laker team. There is no one dominant team. And when you have that kind of parity, what it does is it does draw in the casual fan. Because when my team, Philadelphia, is at the top of the East, and we have an opportunity to win the NBA championship, well, the casual fan wants to know who Joel Embiid is. The casual fan wants to know who Tyrese Maxey is. He wants to know who Darius Garland is, because we have an opportunity to win the NBA championship, as opposed to, okay, we know who Steph Curry is. We know who LeBron James is. And we know that Atlanta's chasing Cleveland. Who else is chasing Cleveland? Washington? Like those other teams, we know they don't have a chance off the strength that James is so damn good that you're probably not going to beat them in the East. Steph and Clay, with the addition of Kevin Durant, are so awesome that nobody's going to beat them. San Antonio may have a chance, but for the most part, the rest of you guys are just involved. So the casual fan doesn't really get involved in it as much because we really don't have a chance to win it. But now, when you have these many champions, these many different champions, you can actually attract the casual fan, because look at what's going on in Oklahoma City with these kids that they have. And with these kids that they have, these guys are turning into something. You see that they're talking about Minnesota actually winning the NBA championship because Cat has now been cleared for full contact. So they got a shot to win it. So with that being said, I feel like we're in the inclusion era, And then being in the inclusion era, you can attract more casual fans.
And
I don't. No, go ahead.
Just one thought off that. I agree with both of you, and I'm curious to see kind of where, if this is a lull, and there have been lulls before. The Lakers had a lull, right? And so maybe this is just a lull before the next dynasty, or dynasties show up. But the thing is, we all love an upset throughout the postseason. But when it comes to a matchup like Denver and Miami, let's be real, everybody complained about that. Nobody, except for maybe that 30% of real basketball fans, enjoyed that matchup and enjoyed seeing some of these guys we don't typically get to see. But nobody wants to see a Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell, Phoenix Suns. I mean, I do, but I don't think the majority of people.
No one wants. No one wants to see. Listen, no one wanted to see San Antonio ever.
2007, Tone, was the lowest rated finals in NBA history.
Of course it was, because it was Cleveland and San Antonio, and that's no disrespect to the cities. It's just population. They don't have the fan base. They don't, and that's why I'm trying to distinguish between fans, even casual fans of a team, and like the casual sports fan, right? Like without a villain, or someone to root for, right? Like just look at Caitlin Clark in Iowa right now. And I've got a beef with NCAA, and I'm going to go into that later. However, it's relevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Why has it been so captivating? Why was there more people watching the NCAA women's final than any other NCAA final in the history of ESPN or any other basketball game, I believe?
Storylines, the narratives.
10.8 million, Tone? Something crazy like that?
Yeah.
17.8. The most to ever watch a basketball game on ESPN ever. Why? Well, and let's look, I'm going to be, I'm blunt. White America, Iowa Midwest girl, loved her. Oh my God, someone to cheer for, right? Basketball fans were like, I hate her. Why is she, why is she making so much hype, right? Like, and I'll get to the debate in a minute. And so there was a reason to watch. There was a storyline. Look back at the 70s. There was parity. No one looks back at the 70s and goes, oh, wasn't it great that there was a different team winning every year? No, they hated it. So that's why I say, like, what draws in money is going to be, there's no upset. If there's parity, where's the upset, right? Like this year, if Minnesota were to go to the NBA finals, is that really an upset? They're the number one seed.
Right. But did anybody expect Minnesota to be the number one seed this season, Tone?
Basketball fans know. People on the outside wouldn't have even known the difference. Oh, is Minnesota good? I don't know.
Right, you don't.
But
right.
if someone said to you, man, the Denver Nuggets have gone to 4 straight NBA finals, and this team out of Minnesota that no one's ever heard of is coming to knock them off their high horse, and that Jokic doesn't even like America. He leaves the second the NBA finals is done, and he goes rides his horses in another country, and he hates the NBA. Oh, he does? Well, let's all get behind the Timberwolves. Now there's a story. Now, see, you laugh, but it's true. Now those other people who have no interest, now they're going to come and watch, and they're going to boo Jokic, and they're going to tell him to go back to his country, and they're going to root for Anthony Edwards, the good American boy. Like, there's making a joke to make it, but you know what I'm saying? There will be more interest. This is now, okay, it's cool.
Well, think about it. Think about it too. Like, we saw the NFL and who they're targeting. They're not targeting football fans or even people who are close. They're targeting Taylor Swift fans to bring in a whole new audience and to bring, more women and, people maybe who typically wouldn't, which, I have my qualms with, whatever. But that's all they care about is making money. So where is the NBA going to start?
Why do you think Swift and Kelsey are pretending to date?
Yeah.
It's all for money.
We don't know. So I agree with you. Where is the NBA going to start to pull that from? And they're not going to pull it from a Miami, Denver, or Cleveland. We don't have the narrative. So that makes me wonder.
But it's okay. It's okay for them to win every once in a while. Like, you want to be like, oh, yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Because, all these guys equally put in the same amount of work, and some teams put in a lot more. So they deserve the wins. I'm just saying, what is the league going to do to interfere? Because, I think we're past the point of pretending refs don't make bad calls and call games to push certain narratives. I think we're all very well aware that that's something that's very real in the league. Address it. Say it.
They don't do that.
Really?
What they really, and as a conspiracy theorist, I'm going to give you some reality for a second.
Okay.
The NBA refs are told there's a certain play or certain foul that is getting out of hand. make sure that you call it a little bit tighter because it's basically to ref it out of the game a little bit. So there's a focus on a certain thing. And what happens is when they say, hey, focus on this spin move, right? Like if they do this spin move, here it is, and they show them a million tapes and they say, that's a travel. Let's make sure that we do that. Here's the problem. If you're focused on that spin move, what are you doing? You're diverting your attention from maybe where it would be here, and you're looking here. Now you're missing something over here because you're focused on this. And guess what? Now you're calling this, right? When illegal defense first came into the NBA in the 90s, it was called 7 times a game. Do you know what it averaged out to by the end when they abolished the illegal defense rule?
Maybe 2.
1.5, right? Because they wanted to say, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And again, that's why I say it didn't really, when people say, oh, illegal defense, 1.5 times a game, they weren't watching, bro. They were playing zone. They were hedging. They were doing all that stuff. They were doing disguised zones because the focus was off. Holding in football, you could, I know we're talking basketball, but holding in football, you could call on every single play. Every single play.
Yes.
But no, they can't, right? Like this really goes well into my rant here. Can I just go into my rant real quick?
Yeah.
Because you could call, there's the illegal screen play, right? In the women's NCAA final, and everyone went ballistic. They lost their minds, and they said there was 100 moving screens. There was 100 moving screens. Why didn't they call any of those? And I said, my biggest thing was 2 things. One, do you want a non-call or on the right call? And everyone's like, it was a moving screen. I'm like, the difference was, because I went back and watched the game, but then I was at a bar it was actually pretty cool. 10 guys sitting at a bar drinking beers, cheering on a women's basketball game was
Love
like, it was awesome. That being said, I went back and watched, because people on my TikTok were like, oh, there was a million moving screens. Yeah, there was a ton of moving screens. The difference was, and Jay will tell you this because he used to ref, is it's not just about the movement, it's about where your legs are. Your legs can't be outside of your shoulders.
Correct.
Cannot be outside of your shoulders. So if moving, you can get away with it a little bit. If you put your elbows up, you can get away with it a little bit. If your legs are apart from your shoulders, you can get away with it a little bit. But if you're moving, your elbows up and your legs are this far apart, okay, that's the angle they don't show you, right? Your legs are that far apart when they have to be within your shoulders. They have to call it. You know how she could have stopped the refs from calling it and making it a ref call game?
Get smaller.
Yeah.
Get smaller. Get smaller.
Yeah, look how far. So if you understand, not that many people do, if you understand the rules of basketball and you understand that you can't move, you can't put your elbows up, and you can't have your legs wider than your shoulders, and you see this, the ref should have lost his job if he didn't call it. Because it was so blatant. It was so blatant. I get it. The timing sucked and it was horrible and the narratives and I get it. But you can't let that go. You can't.
We had 3 of those during the game too, by the way. So it's not like that was the only one. And that was the only one that they called. They had 3 of those during the game. And on top of that, to your point, Tom, every year.
And that's also injury. Sorry. That also can cause injury. You're putting that knee out, right? But okay, sorry, go ahead.
So every year before the season starts, as a referee, we go into, the referee symposium, and there's a point of emphasis. What I mean when I say a point of emphasis, they focus on one thing specifically. All right, what about hands? We're going to pay more attention to hands this season. We're going to pay more attention to traveling this season. We want scoring to go up. We got to pay more attention to rebounding, right? So there's a point of emphasis. This right here, I'm sure, was a point of emphasis this season. Illegal screening, because you get a lot, because of the way the offense is now turned, you got a lot of pick and roll, pick and pop action going on. So because you have that, we got to pay more attention to illegal screens. We got to pay more attention to big girls picking where they're supposed to be picking, not just how, when, and where. Now, understand the difference between illegal contact and marginal contact. Tone can come to the basket on me, and in the process of him coming to the basket, hit me in the chest on his way to the rim. That's marginal contact, as opposed to Tone coming to the basket on me and me hitting him and knocking him off balance. That's a foul. Those two things are not the same thing. If she's in the legit stance where her legs are shoulder width apart and she's protecting herself and she gets hit on the screen, that's marginal contact. That's not illegal. that's legit. But when she's spread eagle like this and does this, that's an offensive foul, and I have to blow the whistle, because what's going to happen, H, is if I don't blow the whistle, I'm going to get this from the supervisor at the end of the game. And I want to know exactly what it was you were looking at. And on top of that, before the season started, we went over this.
Mm-hmm. And guess what happens? Here's the thing about refs not everybody knows. Mm-hmm. Whether they do a good or bad job, right? They get scored, they get evaluated. And the ones who do a good job get to ref in the playoffs, in the second round of the playoffs, in the third round of the playoffs, in the finals. And that's every round. That means more money. There's more money in the second round than the first round. There's more money in the conference finals than the semifinals. And the ones who get to do the finals get paid the most. Well, that's why you're doing the job, right? That's why you're doing the job. So, you got they actually are incentivized to do a good job.
Yeah. And I believe, and I think I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think it's almost a virus of what we see, Jay. But like, if we had, unfortunately, like social media isn't run by people who have refed or even played the game. It's run by people who see one glance of one angle, and then it spreads like rapid fire until we get more angles. And by that time, there's already these narratives of, oh, this is why he did this to this person because of this. Like, it becomes this like social justice problem, when in reality it's just a basketball stand.
No, so the other part is, if I may just add on to what you're saying, it's either they see one angle or one clip, or
which we all probably did.
Or they see it in super slow motion, zoomed in 10 times, and you're like, okay, you're watching it in this freeze frame action. The ref saw it like that. That's what they had. Even if they do go to replay, you've seen it. It's a screen like this. It's blurry. It's not that good. Whereas you got high definition, zoomed in 10 times in super slow motion. You spent an hour watching it. Well, yeah, you can find whatever the heck you want to find.
And one of the most important things. One of the most important things that we leave out is, just so you know, Tone, these refs that ref in the Final Four, that ref in the NCAA tournament, they got a success rate of like 97%. Yeah. So if they call 100 calls, they might get 2 wrong. Those are the 2 that you see. You completely miss the other 90 that I got right. You missed those. You missed those. You'll see that call at the end of the game, which was clearly the right call, but you think I got that wrong. But because I got it right, that's why I'm reffing next year in the Final Four too. That's why I'm reffing next year in the national championship. That's why I'm reffing in the conference championship in the ACC and in the Big East, because I got to get calls like that right.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a society where everything is like right now, and so and that's all we see is we'll get a 10-second snippet of a right thing right now, and then all these narratives, it gets crazy. So we need more Jay's influence in the world to explain it. But I'm still not gonna lie. I think some people get away with certain things. We've seen documentaries on like Tim Donahue. Yeah.
But you're trusting a thief and a liar. Right? It's like, hold on.
Well, that in sports betting is like where my concerns start to come. Like, the world isn't what it used to be.
He's been convicted as a thief and a liar, and now we're going to believe him.
That's a good point.
Wait a minute, though, Tone. I mean, I know what it looks like on the surface, but can we examine this just a little bit? So it's not like he got into it doing that. It started like this.
That you know of.
This is how it started.
That you know of.
Oh, I'm sure, but it never starts out where I'm betting 500,000. I'm betting 6. No, it started like this.
Oh, he's betting.
That's what I'm talking about. It started like, and it didn't even start with him betting. It only started with, hey, Tone, Scott Foster got a problem with Allen Iverson, and he does not like Allen Iverson. And the fact that Allen and him got into it the last game, they played Boston tonight, and Scott is reffing that game. If I was you, I'd probably take 100 and put it on Boston in that game. That's how it starts, H. I ain't really got nothing to do with this, but that's how it starts. And then the next thing you know,
Jonte Porter's taking himself out of the game in 3 minutes. That's the way.
Right. Somebody else is coming to you and, hey, you can probably make a couple of $100 if you can give me a line on a game tonight. Well, no, I'm not interested in that. But I can tell you what this referee likes to look at, or I can tell you what this guy does. And it starts with something small. And then we get to a point where we go from it starting from something small to now I can't get out of it.
Yeah.
Now I'm in it now, and I can't get out. It goes from me starting with something small to me now involved in it to a point where I'm not all the way in yet, Tone. I'm still just giving you like little tidbits. But then we go from that to now I'm in it where now I can't get out. Now I'm in it up to here now. And I'm stuck.
Yeah. And all that really did was it took the what you could have watched and figured out refs' tendencies.
Yep.
It just took it from you having to go watch all the film and figure it out to there. Hey, he's just telling me, so I know. Because if you think about it, whether it's basketball, like baseball, hey, this I know, bet the under on this game because this umpire has a massive strike zone. So there's gonna be a lot of strikeouts, a lot of ground balls. So I know it's gonna be right. But now the only difference is instead of you having to watch 100 of that ump's games, you got that ump telling you, hey, just so you know, or one of his other ump buddies saying, hey, I have a really big strike zone. It's probably a low scoring game. There's gonna be a lot of strikeouts. So bet the under on the score and the over on the strikeouts. You probably have a good odds.
I feel like the game is in a good place, right? And the reason why I feel like the game is in a good place is because you just mentioned it, Tone. I don't really know much about Caitlin Clark 2 years ago, but now Caitlin Clark looks like Middle America. She looks like a woman that college basketball can get behind. Now, are there other people who are maybe better players? Well, guess what, Tone? I'm sure that there were better players than Jackie Robinson, but Jackie Robinson was the one that we start with. We start with Jackie Robinson and we push this forward. Once Jackie Robinson gets in, now he's the face of what's going on, right? And you see these other teams start to go, okay, well, that's what it looks like. That's what we're getting. So now people are starting to watch and they're now more interested. Caitlin Clark comes in and that's what basketball should look like, even though she might not be the most talented, right? She might not be the most physically imposing, but that's what it looks like. And other people are now other eyes are starting to get on it because you just talked about being a casual fan. Well, now, Tone, I'm watching, and I'm on record saying this, I'm in addition to watching Caitlin Clark, I'm now watching LSU because they got a chick on their team named Flage, and that just sounds like a baller. So I want to see who she is.
Yeah,
I just want to see who she is, right? South Carolina got a big girl, and you know how I feel about the big man. So South Carolina got a big girl on their team that's 6'7" who cleans glass. I'm starting to watch South Carolina now. So that's all because
fair. Did you see her getting those rebounds? Like you got two girls jumping up, trying like no chance. Like, oh man. But okay, I want to stop you there because you said this about Caitlin Clark. And,
real quick, Tom, before you go. Greek the GOAT just said fake town hoops. This is the same dude. I want to tell you, I want to make sure we clear, H. This is the same dude who literally Friday said to me in the panel, he was in the chat, said to me, Chill, I concede. The Milwaukee Bucks are fool's gold. Now, all of a sudden, because they're up on Boston tonight, it's fake town hoops. Yo, my man, I'm so out on you. I'm not out on you. I'm so out on you.
I already episode telling you.
Grifter. He's a grifter.
I'm going to give you 5 examples.
No, let him know, Jay.
I'm going to give you 5 examples of dumb people today. Here's one. Do you guys know who this is? Do you know who it is?
Yes, that's Stewie.
All right.
Hey, Stu.
So let me ask you a question. Now, we agree with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is fun to watch. We can see where a huge population in America would enjoy watching her. But go for it. She's also jacking up logo threes and hitting them, right? It's one of the things we applaud Curry for doing it. We applaud Dame for doing it. I don't know why we're booing her, why you're surprised that people aren't going, wow, when she does it, because that's what we like. I see more people cheering for a deep three than a dunk now from a dunk. However, here's what bothers me. Do I think Caitlin Clark is the GOAT? No. I don't think she's the GOAT of the NCAA. But when you have someone who's in that conversation, Breanna Stewart, saying, should she be considered one of the greats of college basketball? And she says no, because she didn't win a title. That's when I say, hold on a minute. I can see where not winning a championship takes you out of the GOAT debate. I'm cool with that. But to say that the person who holds the all-time record for points in NCAA, period, not men, not women, for points, period, total, is third all-time in assists. Third all-time in assists. Took a team that if you look at that up and down that roster, with all due respect to everyone on that roster, especially my favorite player on that team, Miss Marshall, you take that team that none of them are starting on South Carolina. None of them probably even playing on that South Carolina team. She took that team to 2 national championships. Now, she lost both of them 100%, but she's not one of the all-time greats. And this is where this is why I say people are dumb, because I posted about this saying that, Brianna's wrong. Stewie's wrong because hello, sir. Stewie's wrong because her not winning a championship doesn't make her ineligible. Like, is Karl Malone not one of the all-time greats? Is Charles Barkley not one of the all-time greats?
They never being the GOAT and one of
100%. And I was very, very clear when I said this is ridiculous for her to say she's not one of the greats. And do you know what my comments were littered with? You don't know anything about basketball. You've never watched sports. It's about championships. You don't know anything about sports. It's about championships. She's not the GOAT. I never said she was the GOAT. But I said, for this person who knows better to say she's not one of the all-time greats when she has the all-time scoring record and the third all-time in assists, you saw how good of a player she is. Yeah, I think you consider her one of the all-time greats.
And been to the national championship twice. It's not like they never made the tournament, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It took a like, and I'm like, huh, and then I looked at the names of the people, and this is why it blows my mind. I'm like, you're the same idiots who use this argument. Because they're all, no offense, Jay, because I know he's your GOAT. These are all the same LeBron fans. And I'm like, hold on. You said he took a bad team in 07 to the finals. He's the all-time leader in scoring. He's 5th or 4th, whatever he is, all-time in assists. And that makes him the GOAT. Not saying anything because they don't want to count championships. I said, so those accolades make him the GOAT. But you can't say this girl's one of the greats when she did all the same thing.
Right.
Like, that's where the logic just...
And then Lynette Woodard compounds this.
You read my mind.
She compounds. I'm gonna matter of fact, keep going, Tone. I don't want to stop doing the rant.
And Diana Taurasi did. She was doing the same thing too.
Keep going, Tone. Keep going, because I already know where you're going with this. So keep going.
And I've got 3 more, and it's not all. Just so you know, it's not all NCAA women's stuff. But then you got this woman. Lynette Woodard, you started to. My title, my scoring title wasn't taken away. I'm not duplicated because she ain't duplicating, and everybody cheered, and I'm like, huh? You had this many points, and now she has more. You got beat. Shake the woman's hand. Give her flowers. We are supposed to be building up. For years, you've heard me saying, go watch the women's game. Go watch the women's game. Don't compare it to the men's. Don't compare it to the men's. Go watch it. Appreciate it for what it is. The fundamentals are amazing. It's an exciting game. The passing, the this, the that, the. I've been a huge proponent of the women's game. And now you got the own women saying no, trying to knock down someone who's bringing in fans. Like, isn't this the time to be holding hands and singing Kumbaya? Because it's going to bring everybody more money. It's going to bring everybody more exposure. Why is there so much hate?
Can you imagine Jesse Owens saying, Usain Bolt ain't the fastest man on the planet because I didn't have those kind of shoes when I was running. That's the only reason why he fastest. Because
that's a great example.
Yeah, I didn't have those kind of shoes when he was running. To say that, there was no 3-point line. I can say this. There are women's college basketball players who can say the same thing that you said, Lynette. Previous to you, that we ain't had the kind of shoes that you had. We didn't have the kind of amenities that you had. I probably could have scored more points if I played with better players like you did, but I didn't. So to say that, Caitlin Clark isn't the all-time leading scorer because we didn't have a 3-point line. So?
Could you imagine Kareem? LeBron breaks his record and he goes, yeah, but I didn't, for most of my career, I didn't have a 3-point line. And even when I did, I only shot 1. I only shot, or Wilt, or maybe it's Wilt. Hey, these guys all had a 3-point line at some point in their career. I never had that, and I scored 100 points in a game. You guys suck. Now, maybe Wilt would have said that, but we hate Wilt for saying stuff like that. So this is just it blows my mind. It blows my mind, and I will say this. You brought up Diana Taurasi. Actually, what she said, I'm cool with. I'm actually cool with. I'm cool with what, because she said, hey, when you get into the WNBA, it's a different game. There's going to be, grown women trying to knock. It wasn't
just that. It was like the look, there's a lot of vitriol, and the same goes for men. We see even like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he has his issues with some of the younger guys. A lot of, that's just something that happens when you're older. But unfortunately, in the women's space of basketball, there's so many other things that are in the space. It's not just basketball that it's going to suffer. I believe. I think that there are differences between like men and women. Women are like, we are a bit more emotional typically, and so you're going to get different responses from women. But we need the GOATs, or these people that have set the past records, to support the game and support where this game is trying to go. I mean, Kobe, like, one of the biggest things he tried to do is build the women's game of basketball, and so we're going to continue to tear it down. Or every time we have a championship between a black girl and a white girl, everything's political, versus when we have it in the NBA, it's just another day in the NBA. Like, I honestly think it's going to be, it's not exciting to support when you're in the comment section of these poor women who've played their whole lives, put their body, blood, sweat, and tears into these games, and this is all we get. And so, yeah, it's pretty sad, but I do think that, maybe it's just growing pains of the game, because it is now growing to such a new extent. And so we'll get through these things, and then 5 years, hopefully, like, there's a little bit more unification, because it's pretty wild right now. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like we're talking more about it now than ever before.
Yeah, 100%, which is good.
Is it? Is it when we're taking a basketball conversation, making it about race? That's a good thing?
Oh, that's not good. I thought you just meant talking about the game.
I think it's one of those things, Tone, where all publicity is good publicity, because the women's game has been always good, but people haven't been paying nearly as much attention to it as they should. I mean, Maya Moore, Stewie, Cheryl Swoops, Candace Parker, these great teams that women's college basketball has seen over the years have basically been overlooked with the expansion of media. And now we have this kind of dialogue going on. Yeah, Tone, it's not the best, but it's actually putting eyes on the game. And with putting eyes on the game, that other stuff kind of goes by the wayside, where we kind of forget about race, even though it's kind of added to it. But now you get to pay more attention to South Carolina and Iowa and Oregon State and Cameron Brink at Stanford. You get to pay more attention to these women and see what kind of players they are, as opposed to not paying attention and nobody's talking about them at all, when in reality, these are some damn good players.
Let me ask you a question. And I know you know the answer to it, but you play along with me for a second. What year did the NBA start?
1947.
How long has the WNBA been in existence?
Since 1986.
It's 25 years old, I believe. Is that not correct?
Yes. Something okay. Like it's a little bit older than that.
So what's 25 plus 1947?
25, 1947. 20 is 1967. 72.
1972. Is the WNBA correct. In a better position right now in 2024 than the NBA was in 1972?
Yes, 100% it is. Yes.
And that's my point, that I get it. There's the world is a different place. However, it's a 25-year-old league. Unfortunately, the first 20 years, it sucked. There were great teams, great players that nobody's heard of, that no one knows about, that blah, 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 blah. I get it. And it sucks for them, and they didn't make any money. Just remember, Magic Johnson. Do you know what I'm asking Haley. Do you know what his big contract was that made everybody crazy?
100?
No.
Tell her.
He signed a 25-year deal for $25 million.
$1 million a year for 25 years, and people thought that Dr. Buss was insane.
What are you doing?
That was the best deal in the history of hoops. Okay, and look, Magic turned down the deal that Mike got from Nike. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, so a lot of people missed out on a lot of money. And if that's the issue, I get it. But like, even Wilt, and I use Wilt as the example because everyone knows he was a jerk, right? Wilt, just so we're clear of what a jerk Wilt was, right? Him and I believe Bill Russell or Kareem. It was Kareem in the elevator. It was him and Kareem. Him and Kareem are in an elevator, and a little guy goes, "Hey, how's the weather up there?" And Wilt spits on his head and says, "It's raining." Okay, that's the kind of guy Wilt was. Wilt.
So you believe that, but you don't believe he scored 100? Nah.
Correct. Everyone, the 3 people in the elevator all testify that that was true. That's why.
Okay.
I'm going to give you this finger in a second. Check it out. Here's the difference. Here's the difference. Even he said every NBA player from here on out should be thanking Michael Jordan for forcing the Bulls to pay him that much, because now they're going to make money. I wish I was playing in this era, not for the, everybody makes jokes and says, oh, it's about the physicality and the weak era and it's soft. And nah, they all want to play now because of the money, because you have a guy like Jaylen Brown who isn't a top 10 damn player and he's making $300 million. Okay, Luka's about to sign a $360 million deal. Now, he probably deserves it more than Jaylen Brown. That being said, it's about the money. So for, Sue Bird, Tarasi, Stewie, all of those people, if it's about the money, it's not her fault. It's not her fault that she's going to make 76, that she was making more in college. So was Angel Reese.
Right.
So was Angel Reese. They were making NIL deals. Don't be mad at them. Right? It's just, that's the growing pains of a league. And guess what? This year, Caitlin Clarkson makes $76,000 as the first overall pick. But guess what? By year 5, they're going to sign a big TV deal, and they're going to be getting paid $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million a year, as they should. Should. Applaud it, and say, hey, you know what? That's on our backs, right? That's on our backs because we were those stepping stones to get here. And I just. That's all I'm saying. Love it, hate the girl, I don't care. But don't make it about anything else other than what it's really about, which is basketball and money. Like, stop.
Right.
Can I give you my last stupid thought of the day, and then we can move on to actual basketball?
Yeah.
What's going on?
All right. So there's this real dumb person. I keep inviting him here to come and debate because he keeps wanting to debate me, but he never shows up. Of course, right? I send him the link, he doesn't show up. And he said, and so now I've just gotten to the point where troll Fluent comes in, right? Where it's like whatever he says, I just say the opposite. Just he posts about your favorite player, and he says Dominique Wilkins, straight trash. We done with the 90s. He's stealing someone else. Straight trash. Do you know that his record was 22-34 in the playoffs? He's trash. So I said, oh really? Well, if Dominique Wilkins is straight trash at 22-34 in the playoffs, is this the Dominique Wilkins of the NBA Finals? He never responded.
Crickets. Crickets. That's what that was.
When you use some logic. Oh, that's you. Oh, that's FIFA. Oh, there you go. FIFA finally admits to being. No, I don't think you're that person, because that person said some. Anyways, it's just, that's what kills me is people they don't realize they're trying to use logic, but you're not smart enough to use logic because you don't know enough about basketball. And it's just, it's I don't know. This week has just really been getting on my nerves. The stupid people. I'll be fine next week, but I just wanted to point out some of them because I didn't appreciate
that with it. I did not appreciate what she said. I did not appreciate that at all. The idea that, I got the record because there was no 3-point line. And she didn't break my record. Actually, she did. Yeah, the rules got enhanced. They added a 3-point line, but with all of that being said, she still scored points. And the fact that, Jabbar says that first of all, Jabbar, it's not that there was no 3-point line, because it was. You just weren't shooting threes. Right. That's all that was. It's not that there was not a 3-point line.
Jabbar came in the 70s. There was no 3-point line when he came in.
Right.
And he was 32 when they put in the 3-point line. So,
he played 10 more years, man. He played 10 more years after that.
Half of picking on a Laker, so I got to defend him a little bit.
He did play 10 more years. But the point was there's no reason to diminish what she did. No reason whatsoever. The idea that they didn't have a 3-point line. Who's to say you would have been a knockdown 3-point shooter if the 3-point line was in there? There's no way to tell that might not have been your game. You might not. You might have been at the long ball line going, I don't want to be out here. I don't want to shoot this far. But her game was that. She actually tailored her game after that.
You
in
don't
addition to doing other stuff.
you don't think I would have loved playing now? Why do you think I'm in this year's NBA draft? You don't think I would've- like just think about it. I told you this story a million times, but I'll make it the shortest possible version. You know how many times I've shot a 3 and my own team is like, that's too deep. And when it goes in, my coach goes, come off. And I'm like, but I got it in. Nah, you can't shoot from that far. And I'm like, but they pick me up so early because they don't want to leave me open on the line. I got to shoot it from 10 feet beyond and it's going in. What are you mad about?
I think the scariest part is like how most of social media agreed with it. That's the part that like the reality is scary. Like nobody sees reality. I'm like, how can you agree with that? Like, why are we praising this type when we're supposed to be like, supporting the women's game, especially from it's. I mean, I get the bitterness. Like, yeah, you're not getting paid, but you also, like you said, Jay, you paved the way. So how is most of social media agreeing with this absolute insanity? Like, oh my god, it's insane.
Who's getting drafted first? Here's a trivia question: who's getting drafted first, me or Bronny James?
Ooh,
Come here, Junior.
Bronny James, definitely.
Yeah, let's jump into this.
Who's getting drafted first, me or Bronny James?
You.
Who's better?
You.
I love you.
What?
You are.
Hey, man.
How much you pay him to say that, Fluent?
Right.
Timothy, baby.
Matter of fact, go to bed. You got go to bed. You got school tomorrow. Go to bed. You got school tomorrow.
Bronny James never saw me play.
Go to bed. You got school tomorrow.
Did I tell you about my trick shot? This is why he's saying it. I was at the foul line on the opposite end. I went granny style without looking backwards like this.
It went in.
Full 3/4 court. Went in.
Hey.
Every kid on my team and every parent was standing there watching. They all couldn't believe it. They were loving it. They were loving it.
So the recent headline is this is from Shabs. He said, when I talk to NBA teams, there's a clear consensus that as a defender, he's already that caliber of an NBA defender. And we already saw that he did declare for the 2024 draft. And opinions were flying. I'll share mine. But Jay, why don't you start us off? Thoughts on Bronny entering the draft? What do you take from that announcement, and where do you think he'll go if he gets drafted?
I actually think it's a good thing, H. And the reason why I think it's a good thing, because he also entered the transfer portal because he's going to take his name out of the draft. And I think it's good off the strength that he's checking temperatures. These schools who don't really have a guy like him in terms of popularity, they can bring him in. But also him actually going to work out for NBA teams and hear a different voice than his father. So you got general managers, you got scouts telling them, yo, you need to get stronger. Your mid-range needs to improve. You can be a better ball handler. Your pick and roll action isn't very good. I think you can be a better pass entry guy. This is the stuff that he can take back to school with him because he's clearly not ready yet. And I think James is smart enough to know that any team that drafts him is drafting him off the strength that they're going to get James for a year. And after James is done, they're done with Bronny Jr. So with that being said, I think it's good for him to put his name in the draft just to check the temperature to see what I need to work on, what I need to get better at, because he's going to improve. We're under this impression that Bronny James is the same player today that he's going to be in 3 years. Just like he's the same player that he was in 9th grade, that he was in the 12th grade. He was not the same player, and he's not going to be the same player at 18, 19 years old that he's going to be at 22. And I think that the standard that's been set for him is off the strength of his father. That's how we're looking at him more than anything. We're looking at him like, you got to be that good. When in reality, no, you don't. You do not. You have to pave your way. We have to see, you have to show how good you can be. Not, yo, I got to be as good as my father. Because if that's the case, I would have never picked the basketball up in the first place because I'm never going to be that good. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I'm never going to be that good. But I think it's good for him to actually put his name in the draft so he can get some good feedback from some general managers, from some coaches, from some scouts for what he's got to work on and how close he is or how far away he is. I think it's good for him.
And just for reference, in his freshman year, he averaged 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. So, thoughts. I'll say what I said. I posted on Twitter because I asked the question because I'm not as familiar with the transfer portal and kind of that process to go pro, especially as a freshman and especially as LeBron James' son. This is something that's never been done before. in the way that we're seeing it now. And so I said the same thing. I said, knowing LeBron, yes, although he went straight to the league, he's very well aware of how this process works. Why would he then I guess say to Bronny, you should do this? And what I got from most people is saying, like, the experience of feedback that he's going to get from drafting and from, a lot of these guys seeing him is going to be beneficial for him. But there's no way that he goes, no matter how bad people are saying the 24 draft class is going to be, there's no way Bronny gets drafted. So
that's
Tone. What if I told you? Hello, dear. How are you, Tone? Tone, what if I told you? Tone, what if I told you that my good friend Bobby Hurley, head basketball coach at the Arizona State University, when he left Duke, he's the all-time assist leader in NCAA history. He scored almost 2,000 points at Duke. He scored over 1,700 points. Just so you know, Tone, as a freshman, he averaged 8 points a game. Averaged 8 points a game as a freshman. And there's nobody after his freshman year that was like, yo, he's a lottery pick after this year. No, he's going to come back next year. He's going to get better. He's going to come back the year after that. He's going to get better. There's things that he needs to work on, and he's going to work on them. James, coming from a basketball family and having that in his blood, he's going to come back and he's going to get better. What happens if that 4 points a game, Tone, that you said, what happens if that turns into 9 or 10 as a sophomore? And then from sophomore year to junior year, that 10 turns into 14 a game. Well, that's good enough for all Pac-12. What happens when that 14 a game turns into 17 a game? And now we're an all Pac-10 player, all Pac-10 guard who's now on draft boards, legit, as opposed to he's got to be a pro right now. No, he doesn't. The only reason why we're saying that is because James said he wanted to play with his son. I think that's where it got sabotaged.
What happens if that 4 points a game becomes 3 or becomes 2 or becomes Marcus Jordan, who averaged 8 points a game and 3 rebounds and 2.5 assists? And it turns into, I just don't have a passion for the game. What if all of this is just because daddy wants him to do it? What if this is all just playing a damn game like I think it is? And let me tell you what the game is. 1, he's going to be a free agent. So he's going to get to pick wherever he wants to go. So he says, hey, Bronny, put in for the transfer portal. Why does he do that, do you say? Well, because now he tells the Lakers management, well, if you've said that Bronny's not that guy, you don't think you're going to draft him, and you know that I have a desire to play with him. And we've seen the Lakers have done things against LeBron's wishes in terms of players, coaches, that type of thing. So they're not 100% simpatico. And he says, no problem. As you know, I want to watch all of his games. So, he's going to enter the transfer portal and he's going to go to who knows what university. Well, I'm going to go play for that team that's closest to there because I want to see him play. Oh, you know what? Well, maybe we will draft him, right? We need to see more of him. Okay. Well, he's going to enter the NBA draft. Well, let's see. Now, put your money where your mouth is. All of this could be, and why wouldn't he? Him just orchestrating the Lakers to draft him in the second round. Because no one's going to draft him in the first round, let's be honest. But come second round, there's going to be a team
unless we have an assurance that we could get his father.
Aha. So that's why I think it's second round, because there's teams in the second round, right? The Sixers, heck, the Cavs. There's teams that are going to have a second round pick that are contenders that think, you know what? If we could just add Braun for one season, that might be the thing that puts us over the top to win the championship that we've never won. And if it means giving $1 million to Bronny as a second round pick, so be it. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I saw a post where Bronny said, well, if someone drafts him where he doesn't want to go, he says, I'm picking up the phone and making a phone call. So I don't know if that's true or not. I saw it. It might have been a meme. So I won't quote it. But to think that LeBron James, who has orchestrated his career in a very specific, calculated way, like, let's not forget, you talk about Shams, the sham, the liar, right? Convicted liar again. We've caught him in lies. You don't think he might be on a payroll and saying, oh, he's NBA defensive ready because that's the story that LeBron gave him? We know that Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp are on his damn payroll to keep pushing the GOAT narrative. It's a fact. It's a fact. So, like, is he beyond manipulate? And I don't even blame him. Like I've said, is he beyond manipulating the system to get what he wants, which is his son in LA, so that they both can play for the Lakers? No, why wouldn't he? I would do it.
Here's a factor that I think we're leaving out. Like LeBron, there's parts of his game and his career that I'm like, oh man, I could go on about how much it frustrates me. But this is something so different. It's his son. And above everything else, I think LeBron's a dad. And I do think that I don't think he's gonna throw Bronny into a situation for his own game when he knows long term that's gonna be such a deficit for Bronny. Like, you don't think he would put that above what's best for his son?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he would.
Okay, hold on.
That's just not
LeBron,
who he is.
Do you think LeBron knows if he's an NBA caliber player?
Yeah.
Yes, James does know that.
Yeah, he knows.
I agree with you. So you don't think he might look at him and say, you know what? You're not going to be look. You might be like a Seth Curry. You're not going to be a Steph Curry, right? And I know that if I wait for you to be draft ready, where a team's actually going to take you, I'm going to be 100. So why don't I just push this narrative, get you on a team with me where I can show you the ropes, keep you protected, keep you insulated from all the nasty, crazy things that go on when you're on a team, on the road, blah, blah, blah. As a father, I'm going to protect you. And look, this might be your one shot. And where are you going to get the best opportunity? Well, it's playing with me, where you can make me look good, I can make you look good, right? We'll have some energy because we've been playing together since you were in diapers. So that's the best. Like, if you go to another team, who knows? They might not play you. They might say, it's Bronny's son. Bron's son. We're not going to do this. We're not going to. No, I can make sure that you get the right coaching, the right things that you need, all that stuff. And so if you're ever going to make it, it's here with me. And as a dad, let me tell you, that protective gene kicks in. Like, there are times, I coach my son's team, and there are times when, he goes up for a layup and someone catches him with an elbow, across the chest, and he goes flying out of bounds. And my first reaction is to run out onto the court. And it's like, I got to stop, but it's there. And so that's all I'm saying is, again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. If I was in the NBA right now and he was in draft eligible, I'm like, I want to play with him. You don't think Ken Griffey did, senior did the same thing to get junior on, to play with? Of course.
Well, the difference with that, Tone, is number one, Griffey couldn't play anymore. So
I know, but I'm just saying that as a dad,
I do everything that you say. Everything that you say has some validity to it. However, the Lakers don't really owe James anything. So once James steps off, and maybe this isn't working like they envisioned it working, and they move off of him. So now there's really no incentive for him there's really no incentive where he ends up, the Lakers move on from him, or they trade him, or they cut him. So now he becomes something that James hoped that he wouldn't, which is a journeyman, which is somebody that's going to bounce around the league, and he could possibly be gone in a year or two, as opposed to a guy who, if he developed in college, got himself in better shape, worked on his game a little bit more, and became more of a solid pro, as opposed to, I'm gonna bank off of, I'm just getting drafted right now off the strength that my father is in the NBA and teams want to see us together. I'm clearly not ready to be here yet. Clearly, I'm not ready to be here yet. But the fact that I am here, the microscope is going to be on me even more. And not only is the microscope going to be on me even more, it's going to be on me to improve, which I'm not ready to do at this level right now.
Do you think he'll get, okay, the reason wants to leave USC, is it because, I can only assume, he wasn't getting the coaching and the development that they expected, right? Because if he was getting coached and developed the way they wanted, he'd stay. So there's a reason he's leaving. So in his mind, and I'm not saying right or wrong. What I'm saying is, in his mind, well, if he's not going to get it at USC,
right,
is he going to get it from another college, or is he more likely to get it here? Because when you play with better opponents, right, in practice every day, we hear all the stories of when great players play together, the practices were actually tougher than the games, right? And that's actually what improved our skill. Well, if he's like, hey, if I got him, having to D up D'Lo, if I have him having to D up Austin Reeves, if I have him, throwing me loops, he's going to become, if I've got him as a perimeter defender with AD behind him, protecting him if someone gets by him so he could be more aggressive, that's going to make him a better player. I really believe that. So if he believes that he's strong enough and a good enough defender today, and all he has to work on really is his offensive game, well, is he going to get better playing at Duquesne, or is he going to get better playing those guys in practice every day for the Lakers?
Well, two things, Tone. Number one, he's leaving USC because they got a new coach. That's number one. And Eric Musselman is the man there. That's usually what happens when you get a new coach. And
yeah, of course.
So that's one of the main reasons why he's leaving there. Number two, I'm not at that level yet. There's a difference between me being at that level and competing against D'Angelo Russell in practice or Austin Reeves in practice. Remember, Tone, I'm 19 years old. When Kobe Bryant showed up to the NBA, he was actually at that level. He would have been wasting his time going to school. He didn't need to go to school. Even if he was getting his ass kicked in practice, he was much better than all of those guys in school. James, Kevin Garnett, guys like that. They were just so much better than those guys in school, even if they were getting their ass kicked at the pro level. James, on the other hand, I'm not at that level to go to NBA practices and get my ass kicked and improve rapidly. And the reason why is because my skill set isn't there yet. I should be playing against guys at my level right now, then moving on to the pro level. I'm not a prodigy. I'm a good player right now who's trying to become a pro. Now, I can appreciate the logic that, well, how do you become a pro? You get around pros. Well, my father's a pro. I'm not that good, and I'm not as good as those guys that he's playing with. So I should probably stay around the guys that I'm good with, that I can compete against right now. Does that mean in a year or 2 years we're having a different conversation? 100%. But right now, you can screw him up, Tone. You can have him in Lakers practices getting his ass destroyed by D'Angelo Russell and by Austin Reeves, and him thinking, you know what? Maybe I made a mistake. I don't think I'm good enough to play at this level because I'm 19 years old, I'm 20 years old, and there is nothing else after this. And on top of that, I don't really have a lot of time. These teams aren't going to be patient with me off the strength that my father's on his way out. So once he's on his way out, there is no cushion. If I'm not good enough, they're done.
He could look like an absolute fool if he plays a year and then his dad's gone and then he's just out there lost. Like, I mean, they could send him to the G League maybe, but I just think it would be so much more beneficial for him to stick it out for at least another year in the college.
I don't think James sacrifices him like that.
I don't think he does that either. I just don't see Bron. Like, there's no way. And like, you're right, Fluent. Where all these media guys are, of course, they're gonna like hype it up, and I get it. Like, Shams wants to, paint him in a good light. And to be honest, I've watched only clips of him at USC, so honestly, I probably shouldn't even be analyzing his game or what it looks like because I haven't seen.
He's not there yet, H. He's got a lot of work to do. He's not there yet.
Yeah,
he's not. There's a lot of raw talent there. There's a lot of raw talent there. And there's a kid who he's
a facilitator first, right? Like, he's a great playmaker.
And he's a really good athlete. He gets up and down the floor with the best of them. So there's that stuff there. But the other stuff that makes it necessary in order for you to get to that level, he's not there yet. He's not close to there yet.
So Bron definitely, like, that's his son. He knows him. He knows his weaknesses like nobody else. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting.
That's why I think he wants him there, right? Is because he knows all those weaknesses. And let's be honest, he's not just going to be in practice with those guys, right? Like, James is a billionaire. He's going to have the nutritionist, the dietitian, the trainer, the skills coach. Like, he's going to have a.
But if he knows he's not NBA ready ever, if you're saying, well, this is just because he has a year with me to make the storyline, he's not going to do that. He's just going to say, don't play.
Who knows? It's a year. It might be a year or two, and it's I think you playing against NBA talent with all the things around you that I'm going to be there with you every day is a better situation than sending you off.
Setting him up for failure to say, lean on me.
No, it's not. No, it's setting him up to succeed because he's going to fail if he goes to school because school doesn't teach you anything anymore.
So he thinks he can be the best coach for him, and
I
the guys.
I think he's going to put him in the best situation to get better because does he trust whatever school he's going to send him to? I think the answer is no. Like, do you think anybody at a university is where's he going to teach? Send him Arkansas? Where's he going to send him?
I don't know where he's even going to go. And it's almost like, well, then you're starting over with a whole new set of guys, which is always difficult. So.
Exactly. So that's all I'm saying is I see it from a perspective where I trust my people more than I trust the other people. So I want you here where I can help you grow and develop with the right people, not me personally doing it, but like the other people around, because then you're here and you've got me you got me to lean on. And that's honestly, that's what I love about LeBron, because above all else, dude's a dad. I love and respect the hell out of him for that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, hey, whatever happens, to see them play on the same floor would be just insane. Definitely make history. So hopefully it's done in the best way possible for Bronny, of course, because we want to see him succeed. But all right, you guys, well, we're gonna move on to the postseason. All right, we got about 4 games, 3 games for some teams left. All right,
End of the regular season is Sunday. End of the regular season is Sunday.
End of the regular season is Sunday. 3 games.
Can I have 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Can I have 3 minutes? Not even 3 minutes.
What you got, Tone?
It's the last NCAA thing I'm going to say. Okay. Because what was the big thing that Shaq and Paul Pierce and KG, all these guys were talking about? They said something that really resonated with me, and it made me start to think. And they said, I can't name 10 NCAA men's players. I can name 10 women's players. Mm-hmm. Why is everybody watching the NCAA? Well, because you have storylines, you have superstars, you have rivalries. Did we all not watch LSU and Iowa? Every one of us, didn't we watch that? 100%. Do you know why we did?
Because the media pushed it.
Because the NCAA requires that all players play at least 3 years. For women.
For women, yeah. Very true. Yeah.
So they do the same thing in the NFL. They do the same thing in the NFL.
Yep.
So what I propose, and I propose this on Sunday when I do my show 6 Degrees North with Jalen Carter on Chilltown Hoops at YouTube at Chilltown Hoops. We do Sunday. It's a Raptor show, but we do NBA stuff too. We do NCAA, obviously. And the thing that I said was, well, let's force the guys to do 3 years as well and bring back the men's NCAA rivalries and teams and superstars, and then we can know their names because it's better for everyone. And of course, we
talked about this last week on here.
Did we? Did I give you my solution?
Yeah, and then me and Jay both were kind of like, we get you, but also I think it should be up to some guys because
no,
you remember, Jay?
You get an exception. Did we talk about this last week?
Yeah.
Refresh my memory, Tom.
So everybody's got to play 3 years. Now, the other thing is I got to take a financial course because I don't want them all going.
You did say that. I do remember
really
that.
Smart.
I do remember that.
What I want is the NCAA. They all have to play 3 years, and if they decide not to go play for NCAA, because they can go to Europe, they can go to Australia, then go to the G League. No, you got to play 3 years there too. So it almost forces them to come into the NCAA, which then that will become the best of the best. However, you can get an exception. So if there's a guy like a LeBron James coming out of high school, the NBA teams can, like their general managers, scouts, whatever, they can each team has 1 vote, and you have to get 20 votes to get an exception, and then you can go straight into the NBA draft. Because here's the thing, why did most players leave and go straight to the NBA? A couple of them was because they were ready, but it was money, right? My family needs money. I got to go into the NBA. And a lot of players made the mistake where they weren't good enough and they still did it. And then they got an agent and then they were screwed because they couldn't play NCAA once they had an agent because of the old rules. Well, now you can make that money in NIL as long as you're an American. I don't know if you know this. Mm-hmm. Non-Americans can't make NIL money, which Zach Edey, poor kid. Anyways,
that doesn't make any sense to me
whatsoever.
He's
Canadian, right?
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Yeah, I think I saw that. That sucks.
So you can get that exception, but other than that, you have to go to 3 years. Now we're gonna have superstars again. They're gonna learn. You can tell the coaches focus on development and making them better and And now you improve the NCAA game. People start to watch it again, and you get rivalries and superstars, and you know their names. And you know what happens to the NBA? You know what happens to the NBA? They get better players coming in because they're not all these one and done.
Which is what they want.
And now the NBA game gets better. It's a win for everyone. And I wish they would do it. Again, you can have the exception. You can get the exception rule, right? You can file and say, I want an exception. I can go straight to the NBA, or after 2 years, whatever. You can file an exception, no problem. They just have to vote on it and let you in. I think we're doing the teams both in the NCAA and the NBA, and the players a disservice because we're throwing them into this professional league, and you can get this guy always says you can make a receptionist really great, but you can also mess her up really good too. Like
anybody can train a secretary. You can screw them up though.
Yeah.
Do that. So two things, Tone. I can appreciate the idea of wanting the college game to be better, to make the pro game better. Sure, I can definitely give it that logic. But what I also feel like you're doing is you're taking away from my basic American rights, which as an adult, to work somewhere. I have a right to work if I'm prepared to work somewhere. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that on an application.
You want to be a lawyer? You want to be a doctor?
Right. Right. I do understand that on a job application, there are requirements. You got to be this age. You have to have this level of education. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Do you live here? I do understand that those are job requirements. However, when you're talking about the NBA, what actually is the job requirement? I should know how to play basketball. Now,
no, you have to be responsible. You have to be 21.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be. That's not a requirement.
I gotta be. I'm 19. Yeah, I'm 19 years old, and I'm a year removed from my high school graduating class. That's it. I don't necessarily have to go to college. I just got to be 19 and a year removed from my high school class. I don't have a problem with the one and done. Take the high school thing off. Take that restriction off. I should be able, if I'm 18 years old and I am good enough to bypass school and play at the pro level, I should be able to do that. I don't think that that's something that I should be restricted in doing. I do understand that we have job requirements in order to be a police officer.
I know the law. I know the law. I should be able to go be a lawyer for people because I know the law.
Well, with you knowing the law, Tone, you still have to. There's requirements to doing that.
Right. So I'm saying the NBA should put in.
That's not up to you. It's up to the people drafting these kids, right? So
right. You don't have to. Tone, if I'm 18 years old and I put my name in the draft, you don't have to draft me. You don't have to do that. No. But to your point,
it's put in requirements to say if you want to enter the draft, here's what you need to. The fact that an old ass man like me can legally go into the NBA draft like I'm doing is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There should be requirements, which is, you know what I mean. And so you have to be 21 to drink. Well, you have to be 21 to enter the league. Here's why. Or you have to get an exception to bypass these requirements, just like some applications say. You need a master's degree or equivalent work experience. Cool.
Right.
That's all. I think we're seeing a lot of bad. You know what? Here, I have a list for you. Can I read you this list? I know I said 3 minutes, but hold on. Mm-hmm. Let me read you this list. Are you ready? Yeah. Let me find it. Here we go. All right. All right. Brandon Miller. Mm-hmm. Benedict Mathurin. Jonathan Kuminga, Jaden Ivey, Chet Holmgren, Jordan Hawkins, Jalen Green, Josh Giddey, Paulo Banchero, Keontae George, Jalen Duran, Max Christie, the Thompson Twins, Sengun, Cam Whitmore, Jackson II, Scoot Henderson, Wembanyama, Jeremy Sokin, I said his name. Jabari Smith Jr., Shaden Sharp, and Brandon and B-Pod. That would be who would be battling it out in the NCAA tournament right now. You don't think that would be significantly more watchable, and you don't think all of those guys would come into the league next year, because those are all guys that are under 21, would be significantly better players coming into the league for their teams? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It fixes two problems that we all, I think, admit that there is. And look, is it perfect? No, nothing's perfect, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's discussed. It's something up for debate. I just doubt it'll happen because basketball is one of those things you can't just have. I mean, you should. I think it would be the wise move for the majority to go that route. But again, it's basketball. You can't. It's based on talent.
Why? So isn't football based on talent?
Yeah.
Football isn't just based on talent. Football is also based on your physical attributes. So an 18-year-old kid, they look at him and go, you are 18 years old and you are probably not prepared to play against guys in the NFL right now. So you got to go to school.
NBA doesn't worry about physical attributes?
It's such a different physical. I mean,
if they did, Wemby wouldn't be in the league right now. So
you want another wrinkle? You can draft them after their second year, but they got to go back and play the third.
Well, that was going on. I mean, that's how.
I know that's how Bird got.
That was going on years ago. So
GM's got to get smarter too. I just think there's so many ways we can make it better for everybody. But hey, all right, now you can.
Okay. All right. So moving on, you guys, we have several fantastic players in the league. Maybe some of them should have played a few more years in college. We can debate that eventually. But no, we have a ton of great players, and we have several good duos in the league right now. So if you want, you guys can send us a super chat. We'll specifically address your team if they're going into the postseason and give our thoughts. So if you'd like to do that. But I want to discuss the postseason, some of the matchups we're going to probably see. Obviously, we still could see some change because it's very, very tight. And I also want to address some of the top teams and the duos that they have and get down to the bottom of who we think maybe we've seen some chemistry build over the season. But I don't know how you guys want to go through this. If you want to kind of just address the various matchups and then talk about those, or just talk about some of the ones that you guys are excited to see. But yeah. The
one that I'm excited to see more than anything in the postseason is Irv and Luka. I am very interested in how this dynamic is going to translate into the postseason. And the reason why I'm thinking that is because I literally just had a conversation earlier today with none other than the great Mars. And we talked about what happened to Kyrie Irving in the playoffs in recent past. And I thought that the Celtics did a really good job of scheming against him in 22 when they got swept out of the playoffs. I thought they did a good job in keeping the ball away from him, putting him in action on defense. Not just that, speeding the game up and making him guard. I thought that they did a good job in doing that. Now, he's a different player in 2019 when he was with the Celtics than he is today with Luka, who I think is a completely different player also. I want to see what this dynamic looks like, how Jason Kidd is going to put these two in action, how he's going to make Kyrie Irving better playing off the ball with Luka, how he's going to put Luka in isolation, how he's going to take Kyrie Irving and help him speed the game up and make Kyrie Irving even better in transition, which is what Steve Nash did not do when he was in Brooklyn. So I'm really interested in that dynamic. I do think that they can beat the Clippers, but I'm interested to see how those two guys, how their game is going to translate together. I already know Luka's game translates into the playoffs, but these two guys playing off of each other, I'm really interested to see how their games translate come postseason.
And I just want to give a quick update. It looks like Giannis left the game with a non-contact injury, which could definitely mix things up depending on how bad that is. But Fluent, yes, address the Braves and this Mavericks matchup we're most likely going to see. Who are you taking and what are your thoughts?
Well, first, let me just touch on Giannis playing or not. The Bucks are first round exit, so it doesn't matter. So the Braves and the Mavericks. I quit the Mavericks. This is my
girlfriend. Like a girlfriend. Like we over. We're
like
done.
Cigarettes.
We're done.
Not just the Dallas Mavericks, but I've quit the youth basketball.
Oh, you're just done. Wash your hands of it.
I'm done. I'm done with everything Mavericks. I'm done.
Right.
I coached my last game on Sunday. We lost in the finals. And here's the thing. I'm done with the NBA Mavericks too. I think this team is going to implode. And you know how I feel about the Braves. You know how I feel about the Braves, right? You know how I feel about the Braves. But I think the Braves.
That's massive coming from you.
Stop right there. Hold on, we got to rewind. Oh, you got them going to pieces.
Do they
win a game?
Oh yeah. They win a game. Of course, of course.
Just
Kyrie and Luka are too good for them not to win a game. But
Hey, you could lose a series in 6 games and look awful. That could happen.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I'm just trying to test like where
there's gonna be a home game or two, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the Dallas, we were thinking, or they'll steal one in LA because that's not really Braves town, right? They don't belong in LA, they belong in San Diego or Buffalo. So just side note, speaking of the Buffalo Braves, next week, right after this show, you have to go to Chilltown Hoops because we're interviewing Bob McAdoo on the Hoopstorians, who Buffalo Brave great. So, and LA Laker two-time champion with my Lakers in the 80s. That being said, they're just going to be, they're too good not to win a couple of games. They're just going to, right? They're after, even though I liked Gafford, I like Washington, like I like what they did at the trade deadline. Yeah. I don't see this team being built for the playoffs. You can scheme and put them out of their misery, and I really think it's not. The one thing I've seen from Kyrie is when the going gets tough, he doesn't get going, bro. He gets going out the door. And so what happens come playoff time, it's going to get tough. And when you have a team, again, there's going to be a lot of, it's the Braves. They're so lucky. But with Kawhi and George and Harden, like this team has too much talent not to be able to scheme a series. And so I don't like what I'm going to see in the playoffs from Dallas. And I think this is going to be an exodus in the summer. I think they're going to lose so ugly. And I'm not saying in 4 games. It's going to look bad. Even if it's in 6, they're going to blow it. I hate to use this reference because, it's, if you've ever seen a couple of really tall buildings, I won't even say it, right? When they explode and they crumble into each other, that's what's happening. That's what's going to happen to the Mavericks come game 1. It's gonna be ugly. Now you're gonna watch.
Coming from you. That's big coming from you, especially when the Braves are involved.
It's
big praise.
The Braves are going to be a train that crashes into a building, and that building's going to just implode. I said a train, for the record. I said a train, which is too bad because I really like Luka and I really like Kyrie. I've been asking Kyrie to come on with Flat Earth Dave and talk about the flat Earth and all the wonderful things that it provides us. You know how I feel about Gafford. Like I love everything. I love Mark Cuban. I love everything about Dallas. It's just not going to be pretty.
Well, you're getting a lot of backlash right now in chat. I want you guys to let me know. Yes, you can say he's wrong, but what do you have? Who do you have winning, and in how many games?
It's so easy. It's so easy. They always, you're wrong, and then like, where are you after? Right? I told you about Mo. I remember I showed you Mo last week, who sent me what about look at Dame's defense now? Yeah, look at Dame's defense now. Right? Like he showed me one clip, bro. Like.
I'm gonna send the link to you guys. So if you do want to come address it, you're more than welcome.
Address it. All we're gonna say is Luka's too talented. Kyrie's so amazing. Look at what they've been doing at the end of the regular season. No one cares, man. The Raptors are winning games at the end of the regular season. It doesn't matter. It's playoffs. It's a different game. Now,
okay, this is a matchup that I'm kind of. It goes 4 and 5 and 3 and 6, right?
3-6, yeah.
So. The 3rd seed in the East, and I haven't heard really anyone talking about this, is the Orlando Magic. Now, obviously, the 6th seed is the Pacers. What do you guys think about this matchup? Because there was an interesting rumor I heard that Klay Thompson, obviously, the rumor mill is still going on about Klay Thompson. But the 2 places that they're saying he could go is Orlando and LA. So I don't know where you guys stand on Orlando, how many games you guys have seen. But thoughts on that team, and do you think they could possibly make it past the first round?
One of the things that
first on the game, I'll let you go first on the game, but let me just make a comment about Klay. Klay he should go to Florida, just not Orlando.
Miami.
No. Boca Raton and retire. Sorry, go ahead.
Time to wrap it up for him.
Clay.
Oh.
Cold Clay.
Cold, fluent,
Hang him up.
cold.
Hang him up, Clay.
Ice cold, ice cold. So H, I don't think that we talk nearly enough about Orlando defensively. They have one of the best defensive players in the game in Jonathan Isaac. There isn't a guy in the league for the amount of minutes that he plays that's more valued than him. I mean, he plays 15 to 20 minutes a game, and what he brings in terms of value, nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is doing that. I feel like
healthy?
Yes, he is.
For
but
some reason, I thought he was hurt.
But I think that I think they gave him. I think that they did a good job in managing him because he's got the knee issues, and because he's got the knee issues, they don't want to overexert him because if they do it again, they could lose him for the season, and it could possibly be career-ending. So what they do is they'll play him 20, 25 minutes, but it's not 25 minutes straight. It's 5 minutes here, then it's 7 minutes there, then it's another 6 minutes here, and then he closes games. And for what he does in terms of value, how he beats guys to spots, how he's able to cover so much ground, how he closes out. He's definitely one of the better defenders in the game. Just him alone. Then you got guys like Franz Wagner. It's not Wagner, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wagner. He's from Germany. It's Wagner. He's one of the better downhill bigs in the game. Could shoot the basketball. Paolo, I think he could be a better rebounder than what he is, but I think he could score with the best of them, especially as a second-year player. I think he could score with the best of them. In the process of him doing that, I think Cole Anthony is one of the better rotation guards in the game. I really like Orlando's offense, but the one thing that they've been consistent with is their defense all year. And because they've been consistent with their defense all year, I think they're going to be trouble in the playoffs.
So we do have somebody here to maybe address the map. So I'm going to bring him up.
Okay,
Mike.
so hold on. Before you bring Mike up, though, let me just speak on Orlando and Indiana. You know how I say built for the playoffs and it's a different game?
Yep.
Yeah.
Indiana's not built for the playoffs. Indiana is not built for the playoffs.
No, you don't think so?
No, I know so. I watch a lot of Indiana Pacer games. They are not built for the playoffs. I think you're going to see Wagner, Banchero. They're going to eat. And normally I don't pick the young team. Normally I say, the inexperienced, they got to learn, they got to take their bumps. Nah, you're going to see a team as a 3 seed. It's going to be hard. It's going to be harder than a 3-6 should be because they're young, but I think they are more playoff NBA structured than the Pacers, because when the Pacers are at their best, they are running 100 miles an hour, and that is not the playoffs. And there are very, very few teams. There's exceptions, but there's very, very few teams that can win that way in the playoffs. And so when it starts to slow down and possessions start to get tough, and I told you, were you on the live broadcast? No. I told everybody it was Lakers and Pacers at the last playback that I did. And Siakam came down as the first quarter. Foul line, took a step in, boom, dunk. Everyone's like, they're going crazy. And I said, yeah, but you watch what's going to happen in the fourth quarter. They're going to go to him. He's going to do a spin move, and he's going to turn the ball over or miss. What happened in the fourth quarter late in the game when it mattered?
Turn the ball over.
Spin move from the foul line, miss, there's a turnover. So if that's going to be your guy, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yes. Let's hear about why
all right, Mike.
why the Mavericks are so wonderful.
Let us know, Mike. What's your thoughts?
I just came up here just to talk about why I think the Heat will beat the Celtics in the first round if they end up playing each other.
Okay.
So I think Miami has the big coaching advantage. I think Spo can scheme. He runs the zone a lot. I think he can scheme against the Celtics. And the Celtics, I just think they're gonna live
how? Stop right there. Scheme how? How can he scheme against the Celtics? Scheme how?
Getting them to take, the Celtics live and die by the 3. So I think, if they let the Celtics, play their game, then
if they played their game, they won 62 games doing that. How's that work?
Right, but we always see they live by the 3 and die by the 3.
And how have they been dying by the 3? Again, they won 62 games this year. They got the best record in the NBA.
And over the last couple of years, they died by the 3.
They were in the NBA Finals 2 years ago. They beat the Miami Heat.
So are
We
you
died
saying
by the
force? Are you saying force the Celtics to? I mean, I don't even know how you do that with what the Miami has. It's going to be hard to stop the Celtics whatsoever. Or, maybe you
And
can
also,
stop two, but
I just
not
don't
four.
believe
You
in
know what I
Jason
mean?
Tatum and Jaylen Brown to get it done.
Okay, so really attack
So
them.
that's all it is. That's really so the idea of Spo being able to out scheme, you really don't know how he's going to out scheme. What you're really saying is that you just don't believe in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and you don't believe in them off the strength of what you've seen from other people, not what you've seen yourself over the course of how they've been improving, but what you've heard other people say.
Nah, I've seen it. I've seen it throughout the playoffs. I've seen it this year.
What have you seen this year? They won 62 games. They got the best record in the NBA.
Did you hold on? You just watched this Bucks game?
Yes, I did. Without Porzingis and without Al Horford.
See, it's all so now it's without them. But what I'm saying is they wasn't on the team before, and the same stuff was still happening.
They beat Milwaukee 2 years ago, so no, the same stuff wasn't happening.
But it's different teams now. What I'm saying is,
It is
when
different
it gets
teams now.
down
Correct.
to it,
Milwaukee is better. Milwaukee is actually worse. I'm sorry. Milwaukee is worse this year.
Boston's better.
And Boston is better.
Jay, thoughts on this? Because Yellow Bear just said in the chat that record don't get you into the playoffs, which is obvious. But let's be honest, over the last 2 seasons, the Celtics have they've crashed out, and a lot of that has been due to the three. So if you're Spo, what would be your plan of attack as Miami to try and stop this incredibly great defensive and offensive team? Now you have 4 guys that are just absolute stars. You know, I think 4 of them won Player of the Week the last 4 weeks. So
I think one of the things that Eric Spoelstra does really good is I think that he switches matchups, and he does a really good job at that. He gets guys in spaces like Terry Rozier. He's able to. Guys like Bam Adebayo are really good in switching. Caleb Martin's really good in switching when you switch a big onto another big. I think that those things work for Spo. In addition to that, I think Spo does a good job in knowing when to speed the game up and knowing when to slow the game down. He knows when to go to Jimmy Butler. He also knows how to implement that zone, and not just implement that zone. He knows how to spread it out, because what it is, it's a matchup zone. It's not just a regular zone where you're just playing one area. No, they spread the zone out. And these guys, like, for example, I think Terry Rozier, and not just Terry Rozier, but who's the other guard I'm thinking about? Caleb Martin. Those 2 guys are at the top of the zone. So now the zone is matchup zone. I'm going to play beyond the long ball line. In addition to me playing beyond the long ball line, I'm going to keep these guys in front of me. And I'm going to make the zone as big as possible, keep these guys in front of me, and make them make tough shots. I'm not just going to let them shoot the long ball. I'm not just going to do that. I'm going to make these guys shoot tough shots. The difference with that now is that the Celtics got somebody in the middle of the zone who can actually exploit mismatches and exploit different areas in Porzingis. So now Eric Spoelstra's counter to that is when he goes man-to-man, and he switches even more. He actually switches even more. So he'll switch Terry Rozier onto Jaylen Brown. He'll switch Caleb Martin onto Jason Tatum. And that kind of stuff is what, when we talk about schemes, those are the kind of things that he does.
And the other thing, like, look, I'm not saying this is going to work, right? I'm not saying it's going to work. However, I think we all can agree Spo is a better coach than Mazzulla. I think we've got that. But we also agree that Boston is a more talented team than Miami. So if it comes down to close games and schemes, Miami does have the advantage. However, they're going to have to try to force, Holiday to be the shooter, right? They're gonna try to make him be a shooter. They're gonna try to get Jason Tatum. Here's the problem: is if he gets hot, they're in trouble. But they're gonna want to make him more of a 3-point shooter, because once he starts mixing it up with driving to the basket, mid range, and 3 points, he's
do that every year.
And so they're going to want to make him fall in love with the 3. They're going to want to make Drew a shooter. They're going to want to make Jason Tatum go left. And as easily as I just said all that, it's significantly harder to actually do all of those things. So he's going to go in with that mindset of trying to make them do those things. I just think this is a different team than last year. As much as I like Marcus Smart, I think Holiday is a smarter. He's also a bigger, a tougher perimeter defender than Smart was. I think the addition of Porzingis gives them someone who can space the floor, but also can work what's very important in the playoffs. It's not who shoots the most threes in the playoffs, guys. Go look at the numbers. It's the guys who can get in the paint, rebound, and get mid-range. Mid-range is going to kill you. So those, if they can incorporate those things, it's a different team. Are they going to be out-toughed? Are they going to be surprised by Miami, an 8 seed, and their toughness this year? They better not be. If they are, they're
No.
gonna lose. But I don't
No,
think they
no.
are. I think they're gonna come in ready and understanding these guys are gonna come and punch us in the face. Are they able to handle it? I think they're more equipped this year to handle it than not. So can Miami do it 2 years in a row? That's a tough thing to do. Can they? Yes. Do I think they will? No.
At the level that they have to do it at, Tone, because we're talking about a Miami Heat team last year that shot over 40% on the long ball. They shot over 40% on the long ball. You're asking them to duplicate that again this season, right? You're also asking them to also score it at a high level, which they were one of the worst offensive teams, not just last year, this year too. You're asking them to duplicate what they did last year again this year. No.
It's tough. It's tough. It's not impossible. It's not impossible, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
Chill. So don't you think that if the Celtics get caught up shooting all these threes and like they always do, and they start missing, don't you think that leaves it up to a close series in Miami? They can close out the series better than what we've seen the Celtics do.
What you're asking is that the Boston Celtics shoot like you say that they shoot bad the entire series.
I mean, they have a couple good games like last year, but they was already down 3-0. So if they get themselves in the hole, and
how'd that work last year? How'd that work for them?
They
lost.
Year?
No, not just that they lost. How'd that work for them last year? Did that series go 7 games?
After they was down 3-0.
Right, they ended up getting themselves back in the series. Is that fair?
But see, that's the problem. It's not about getting back in the series. We talk about winning and losing. So you can. So is
it that black and white? Is it really just that black and white?
I think what he's saying is they were up 3-0 and it took them 7 games and they were shooting horribly. Do you think that's going to happen again? You think they're going to go down 3-0?
That's the point.
I think that what I've seen from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, he looks improved with ball handling, but I don't know if I trust it. But I just think that Jason Tatum could go cold for a couple games and get themselves in the hole, and you don't know. I don't know if they can climb out of it.
I think that this is a narrative that is not factual. We've
seen him go cold. What? And for a couple games in the series, he can go cold.
When did we see him go cold?
Bro, over the year.
I'm asking you very simply. Come on. Chill. Come on is not an answer. I'm asking you right here. When did you see him go cold in a series?
Just last year, bro. Are you serious?
When, sir? When did he go cold?
So against the Heat, he didn't go cold.
I'm asking you. So once again, when did he go cold?
The first couple games throughout the series when they was down 3-0.
He did not go cold. That's not true.
Come on.
Stop saying come on.
So he was playing good.
He's asking for proof. Give
Which
him proof.
game? Are you saying cold from 3 or just cold?
Right.
Because he did have some bad games, Jay, and then he came back in that game 7, but it didn't get him far enough, obviously. But
right, because he got hurt. Right.
Tatum has. When he played Golden State, there was some games.
He got hurt.
I know it was one of them games in Boston. Was it like game 2? I don't remember exactly which game, but I remember watching him go cold.
Right.
So
he had a bad. So he had a bad game. And he had a bad game in game 6, I think he went 0 for 8 on the long ball. They actually won that game.
Yeah, I remember it was one of those games in Boston. So it might have been like game 2.
Yeah, they won. It was game. I believe.
No, they didn't. They was down 3-0. How they won game 2?
No. I'm talking about in Miami. It was game 6. He was 0 for 8 in that game. He wasn't very good.
Yeah, because
it was one of them games in Boston too.
One of those games in Boston. So I believe it was. Let's see, game 2. He was 3 for 10 on the long ball.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Game 2.
But he wasn't cold that game. He went 10 for 20 from the floor. He had 34 points and 13 rebounds.
No, I'm talking about he goes cold from 3 when when he starts shooting too many threes. That's what he did. He shoots a lot of threes.
Even if he shot 10 threes, he still was efficient from the floor. He got on the glass, and he was efficient from the floor. He got on the glass, and he did everything he could to help them win the game. He almost had a triple-double in that game.
But if he would have, but that's the problem. Shooting 10 threes and making 3 of them, that hurts your team.
So those 10 threes are the difference in them. Him shooting 10 threes is the difference between them winning. That can be the difference.
Maybe if he shoots 6 and makes 2 or 3, maybe that makes him a little more efficient. But those missed shots hurt.
if you want to make
did they hurt in game? Did they hurt in game 6 when they won? When he went 0 for 8?
What I'm saying is those missed shots got them into the 3-0 hole anyway. That made it pretty much impossible for them to get back into the series.
But they did get back into the series. Why you keep saying it's pretty much?
I'm talking about winning.
They got back in the series. You can't say it made it almost impossible. They were in game 7. They were down 3-0, and they got back in the series because he started playing better. They started playing better all together. You brought this narrative to us about Jason Tatum because it's something that you heard. That's all it is.
No, I've watched it.
I'm good. I'm good on this narrative. I'm good on this narrative with Jason Tatum. It's corny, man. It just is. It is.
All right, Mike, we appreciate you.
Mike comes in here with other people's battle raps, and he thinks he's spitting. He's not spitting anything. Get him out of here, yo.
No, I'm cooking. But these is all facts. You know this.
You're not.
All right, Mike, we're gonna let someone else. But appreciate you.
I'm cooking.
Goodbye. You ain't cooking. You cooking pebbles. You cooking fruity pebbles with sour milk. That's what you cooking. You're not cooking anything.
Macaroni and cheese on his stuff. Sage, Chill don't have playback. Chill has Fluent and Chill.
All right, Baba G Cuts, what you got for us?
Hello.
What up?
What players and hello everyone. What players and do you think going to the playoffs has the most to prove in the playoffs for you guys?
The player that has the most to prove in the playoffs. Yeah,
Tatum.
I think that Jason Tatum can dead this narrative about him. If he just balls out, I think he can dead a lot of this narrative about him. A lot of it. Even though if they win it, it's going to be, he was on a bomb squad. But if he doesn't, they're going to roast him. So, but I do think that he's one of those guys who, him and Joel Embiid.
And if there's like a certain player that, like, I don't know, plays poorly and probably gets bounced out of the playoffs, do you have any other player like that? Like if this player like underperforms or this player like doesn't get it done, like it'll get criticized a lot. Like I think like you said, Joel, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like if the Suns kind of don't get it done, and like the Clippers and everything, it'll be like a lot of narrative talks, right?
Mm-hmm. Listen, Embiid always, because I think that's going to live with him. I think the other one that is unfair because he's young. But watch when Luka and the Mavs get knocked out in the first round. They're going to say, even if he plays well, here's the problem with Luka. Oh, yeah, he puts up numbers, but, right? That's what they're going to say about Luka, too. So that's another one to watch when he gets knocked out of the first round, even though I don't think it's his fault. But, what did we miss, Jay?
What, Jay?
That was a great pass by Luka.
Oh. Speaking of the devil
here.
Luka.
That was a great pass by Luka.
For me, I think Luka, like, what they've done this season, like I don't think it'll really come on him. I think KD though, like you said, the Phoenix Suns, Booker, KD, and Beal. I mean, I've said it from the beginning, not to be like negative on him, but I just said, I mean, even though they went out and got depth, I think KD is gonna have to face some of that. But the thing is, like, KD's actually had a fantastic season. It's nothing he's done wrong. So we have to break those narratives. He'll take the blame because it's KD. He's a villain. Mm-hmm. Everybody, over here.
He's not a superstar, so there's nothing to expect.
Okay. Well, let's not open up that. But yeah, I mean, I think even if we really get down to basketball and how he's played, you can't do that to KD. So Tatum, Jokic has proven himself. I mean, I don't know. How about you?
And are there any are there any matchups you guys are looking forward to in the playoffs? Any matchups? Any series?
Dallas and the Clippers is what I hope that holds because I want to see that one. Dallas and the Clippers. I don't love. I want to see this Knicks Cavs matchup, but I'd much rather see it with Julius. But I'd much rather see it with Julius Randle. Much rather see it with Julius Randle.
Banged up, and I'm not trying to bring that as an excuse. And like they kind of get like pushed around, like I've seen from like even this season, because I thought they'd get better, like in terms of like their toughness, but I guess everything's going downhill for them.
Tone, I don't think Indiana's going to keep that 6th spot. I don't.
They fall?
They're not.
I don't.
Well, they beat the Raptors, but
I don't think that they're going to keep that 6th spot. I don't.
They might.
So
they might.
Think Philly jumps up to 6.
I think Indiana's a first round exit, anyways. Wherever they land. In terms of matchups, I can't wait for the Lakers to beat the Nuggets.
Oh man, I can't wait to prove you wrong.
Say one more time, H. In your what, H?
Yeah,
in your dreams. Oh, they smoke y'all again.
Smoke.
They smoke y'all again.
All right, Bubba G, because we have to let you go.
You're
We're
like,
gonna read super chats, but
Bye.
bye. Thanks.
Didn't you say what I'd like to see? That's what I'd
Sorry,
like to
Bill.
see.
We're gonna
You did
have
say
to
that, so like
next time.
I would like a glass of wine. I ain't got no wine in here, but I'd like a glass.
Yeah.
Yo,
Oh man, yeah, that's gonna be fun. And my Warriors made it. You guys said that they wouldn't even make the playoffs, but they made the play.
There's actually one thing I really, 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 really want to see more than anything else in this world
oh boy.
is I want to see after the play-in is said and done, right? There's a current 8 seed that I feel is going to lose 2 games and be out of the playoffs completely, and just I want to see Ox's reaction when the Kings go from they're going to make the NBA championship last year to not even in the damn playoffs. I cannot wait. I
Look on
cannot
his
wait.
face when he shows up to the panel. He's
Yeah.
gonna be so mad.
Light the beam.
Sorry,
It'll
Ox.
Oh,
direct
yeah,
you to the point.
Ox already made it clear. Ox already made it clear, H and Tone, that if the Lakers were to win the NBA championship, he said he will not be available. He said he's not showing up.
Oh, that's okay. I got his
yeah,
number.
I'm not either.
I got his
Bro,
number.
there's no way that they win unless it's okay. Well, I don't. Okay, Joseph S. Somebody tell Brook Lopez he's not Steph Curry. I imagine he was probably.
Right. I'll call him up.
Okay.
Who said no? Who said it? You gotta call
Joseph.
him out. It's so nice to donate $2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Joseph's. That's Joseph's $1.99. What is that little logo next to Trey J? What's that little logo?
I don't know.
I think he's. I don't know. I loved you, Chill, but you're a disgrace to MJ's legacy from Trey J. 23.
I'm a disgrace. How am I a disgrace to MJ's legacy? How?
Because you have a different opinion than him.
Yeah, how am I a disgrace to MJ's legacy? Give me a break, man. You Jordan dudes. I'm actually embarrassed, to be honest with you. Like with stuff like this, I'm embarrassed to be a Jordan guy. I'm embarrassed to be that. I am.
You know what
I'm
I love?
embarrassed.
I love that. I love this is what I love. I love that you have LeBron as the GOAT. Okay. And you're more of a Jordan guy than I am. And that's how stupid people are. Back to my original comment. I hate Michael Jordan, but I'm not going to diminish what he did on the basketball court because I don't like him. And people are like, you're always defending him. I'm like, yeah, I'm always defending him because I get 100 stupid comments from you guys every day.
Yeah.
And it's just like, enough.
Get out of here. I'm a disgrace.
Oh man. And then he followed up with NBA needed the race component. Why not WNBA?
They needed it.
Trey, you didn't have a problem when they did it with Bird. You did not have a problem when they did it with Bird and Magic. So don't act like it's a problem now. Don't.
No, that's what he knows.
He's saying
I said let's not make it about race. He's saying the NBA did it. Why can't the WNBA? Well, the difference is the NBA isn't doing the WNBA isn't make. There's not 2 superstars coming out of, or maybe are they making it a Reese Clark WNBA thing
since last year?
I think
that's all these people
I
want to
think
do.
the WNBA is in a better spot than the NBA was. I think the WNBA right now is in a better position with more talented players in the league and coming into the league than the NBA was in
1972.
Yeah,
1972.
Or 1972. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
So if they want to keep pushing these narratives, like just grow up. So, but appreciate the super chat trade.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, that was crazy, honestly, because you
This
don't have
is
the same
Tone.
opinion, Jay.
This is what I'm talking about when you talk about the goofy play-in tournament. The Miami Heat are in overtime right now with the 10th place Hawks in overtime. So if we get if Miami loses, if they end up in the play-in tournament and they end up losing, and they got to play Atlanta, who by the way beat them last year in the play-in tournament. If they got to play them again in a 1-game playoff.
What's the point of the regular season if a team that is 7 games behind you, all they have to do is play 1 good game to knock you out of the playoffs? I think is that's a disgrace to the NBA's legacy.
It is. It really is, Tom. When I think about it, it really is.
You know what? You want to have 10 teams in the damn playoffs because you want to make more money? Fine. Just let 10 damn teams in the playoffs. Just go ahead. Let 10 stupid teams in the playoffs. FYI, you got the 9 and 8. I believe on both conferences. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, not on both. 9 and 10 in the East are under 500. Under 500. I don't believe you should be in the playoffs if you're under 500 every year.
By a significant amount of games, by the way, too, Tom.
The third, like, listen, this will just show you how much I'm a realistic person. The 30 and 52 Bulls should not have been in the damn playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
They should not have.
They have no business being in the playoffs. And I don't think the 36 and 42 Hawks have any business being in the playoffs, but they have every opportunity to go in, which I think is ridiculous.
Right.
Like, wouldn't it make more sense? Like, more sense to like tell Chicago, Atlanta they're out and say, okay, Lakers and Warriors, because you're at 57 and 55, you both have winning records. Okay, you guys can have a play in to let someone come in. Okay, cool. I'd be okay with that if there's teams over 500, but to allow teams under like that should be the caveat. You want to make the play in? No problem. You have to be a top 10 seed over 500. Then I'm okay.
All about the money.
I know.
All right, you guys. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm sure we'll be able to kind of break it down a little bit more. Wait, do we have a break between playoffs and? No, we go straight into it, don't we? So we'll go straight into the play-in game next week. So we'll have more feedback on how that goes next week. But yeah, for now, you guys have a great rest of your night. Enjoy the last few games of the night. And Jay,
put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. We will see you guys soon. But until then, take it light.
It's been a couple of days since I called my mom.
Call your mother, Tone.